Hey, Pat, Andy, it's Joe Cronin. Listen, I'll send you guys Damian Lillard, but just send over either Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler.
Better not let me ever catch you saying something that's stupid again.
It's called selling it.
Are you okay?
Yes.
A wise man once said, he's an ugly, bald-headed hoe who don't know shit, won't pick up the phone, so I'll tell you how it's going. Well, that wise man was actually me in the Joe Cronin diss track that I dropped a couple weeks ago. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's got like 80,000 views on Twitter. I'll probably even play it at the end of this video, so stay tuned.
You never made it seems better. His two longest tenured teammates are Harkless and Myers Leonard, who are bums.
But it's been 2 days since Damian Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, not the Miami Heat. And of course, all of Heat Nation is depressed, including myself, because I'm quite stunned. But a lot of people's first reaction was to blame Pat Riley in the front office, and I was a little hesitant to do that because I know Joe Cronin is an idiot, and judging based off the package that he actually received, I looked at this as him being more petty and wanting to spite the Heat than anything else. And in my opinion, that belief was absolutely confirmed today through multiple reports, but specifically through this very, very interesting article just dropped by Chris Haynes, Damian Lillard's boy, Chris Haynes, titled "Inside the Messy Divorce Between Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers." Now, this article is literally a true insight into exactly what happened, including a ton of behind the scenes stuff. So I actually want to set a timeline here of all the events that happened so we can get an idea of how the hell Pat Riley screwed this up. So the first interesting part is that Lillard actually found out at 11 a.m. the day of the trade that he was being sent to Milwaukee. So that was about 3 hours before the rest of the public found out. And in the article, Lillard says, "How this summer played out behind the scenes left a sour taste in my mouth." And it's very clear in this article that he's not happy with the Portland Trail Blazers, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. But first, I actually want to start back all the way in July and what was confirmed to be the last time that the Miami Heat and the Portland Trail Blazers actually spoke. And it was a phone call between Joe Cronin and Andy Ellisberg. Again, this was back in July, which was during Summer League. Now, I guess Andy was hoping that the two sides could meet in person and hash out a deal, but for whatever reason, that never materialized. So now fast forward a little bit to early September, where all communication between the Portland Trail Blazers and their front office and Joe Cronin ceased all talks with Damian Lillard and his camp, and there was actually a period of 3 weeks where all text and calls by Damian Lillard and his camp went unanswered. So that's when on September 5th, Cronin and Dame Lillard actually had their first discussion since the entire trade request happened. So Cronin actually came to Lillard's place, and basically Dame is like, "Yo, why the hell haven't you been talking to Miami at all?" And of course, the article also confirms that the Trailblazers asked Damian Lillard to sit out the final 10 games of the last season because they wanted a higher draft pick, in which they promised Damian Lillard they would trade to get him some help in Portland. And of course, when that never happened, that's when Damian Lillard started to get really upset. So it was in that meeting on September 5th where Cronin basically said, "Yo, Dame, if Miami wants to negotiate with me, I need all of their assets, and that includes either Jimmy or Bam Adebayo," which was confirmed by other reports that we heard just yesterday as well. So an already annoyed and pissed off and disrespected Damian Lillard was already feeling more of all of that, and he was actually starting to lose hope that the Heat had a chance to actually get him. So because of that, Lillard actually told Joe Cronin that if he can't be sent to Miami, he would prefer to rescind his trade request and stay with the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, the interesting part about that is Cronin said no. So basically, Cronin was like, "If you don't want to be here, I don't want you, but I'm also not going to help you out and send you where you want to go, even though I lied to you and said that we were going to build a contender for you in Portland." So after that meeting on September 25th, it was about a week later, on September 11th, Damian Lillard actually started showing up to the Portland Trail Blazers facility just to practice, because he says this is when the group activities used to start, and that's when he would just kind of hang around all the guys and things like that. Because at this point, Dame thought that, hey, maybe he will stay on this roster. He even actually told Joe Cronin that he would prefer to stay on the roster into training camp to give Cronin more time to find a framework for a trade that could send Dame to the Miami Heat. So during this time in mid-September, when Dame was showing up to the practice facility, he says that everyone was happy to see him, smiling, wishing him well wherever he goes. everyone except Joe Cronin, who did not speak with him even one time. So it was about a week from this point where Lillard started to lose all hope of staying in Portland or going to Miami. So he went to his agent Aaron Goodwin and privately conveyed that he would open up his list to either the Milwaukee Bucks or the Brooklyn Nets. Now, as a Heat fan, this part is a little confusing to me because if he would open up his list, you would think that he would have contacted his boy Jimmy or his boy Bam and said, hey, doesn't look like this is gonna get done. I had to open up my list. Talk to your front office, let them know to put every asset on the table, which is likely what happened. Because if Dame truly wanted to be here, why wouldn't he talk to his boy Bam? And of course, Bam would talk to the front office, and people are gonna say that's tampering, but that's how all of this is done. Everybody tampers. So I truly believe that Dame told his boy this, told Bam, Bam told the front office, and the front office is trying to get in contact with the Portland Trail Blazers, who once again had no interest in getting Dame to his desired destination. And with all this tension building up, the NBA actually felt like they had to step in. So about a week after Dame expanded his list, on September 23rd, there was a Zoom meeting between the NBA featuring league officials, Joe Cronin, a Trailblazers attorney, of course, Damian Lillard, Aaron Goodwin, and a guy named Ron Klempner, who is the general counselor for the National Basketball Players Association. So all these guys hopped on a Zoom call to, I guess, try to work out a deal. And I guess the main goal was to open up a line of communication between the Blazers front office and Damian Lillard. But supposedly, this article says that things got volatile. It got a little bit heated, which is ridiculous. I mean, you're looking at this man, Joe Cronin, and looking at the way that he's treating the best player in the entire history of the franchise is just the utter disrespect. And people wonder why Heat fans don't like Joe Cronin. But it turns out after that Zoom meeting, a healthy line of communication between Joe Cronin and Damian Lillard did open up. But it was at this time that nobody actually expected Milwaukee to step up, because they were looking at it like, hey, we know you got Milwaukee on your list, but they would have to trade Drew Holiday, and they just won a championship a couple years ago. They have their core set. They didn't believe that that was something that would actually happen. But then, of course, it was 4 days later on September 27th where Dame got sent to the Milwaukee Bucks, and apparently Giannis was one of the first people to text Damian Lillard, and he said, let's win an effing championship. And this article goes into a ton of more detail. It's actually like the best behind the scenes look that you could ever imagine. I can't believe that we're actually learning a lot of this stuff. It's very interesting. So I highly recommend that y'all look into it yourself. I'll put the link down below. But it all points to Joe Cronin just being a major asshole, right? So that's why, even since I saw the package that Portland got for Damian Lillard, right? They don't even count DeAndre Ayton, because he was traded for Jusuf Nurkic. There was reports of that happening for weeks now. That would have happened even if Dame was down to Miami or Milwaukee, right? So if you just look at what Milwaukee gave up, they gave up Drew Holiday and a first-round pick. Miami would have given up Tyler Hero to a third team, which would have netted a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and Nikola Jovic. So you're looking at 3 first-round picks and Nikola Jovic. And of course, like I just said, the Blazers would have still gotten DeAndre Ayton. So now a lot of talk that Blazer fans are doing is saying, hey, you can't judge this trade till we find out what Drew Holiday is going to net us. So first off, that's stupid business by Joe Cronin, because you don't trade for a guy hoping that you can get some assets for him in the future when you know what you would have got with the Miami Heat's package. And even if Drew Holiday nets you a first-round pick, which he probably won't net more than that. He's a 33-year-old player who said he's going to retire when his contract's done, mind you, who's on the last year of his deal because he has a player option. So he has a list of teams that you have to abide by, because no team is going to trade for a guy on an expiring deal who's 33 years old. So don't act like you're going to get 2 or 3 first-round picks and some young players for Drew Holiday, because it's not going to happen. So if Drew Holiday nets you a first-round pick, what did you get from Milwaukee except 2 first-round picks? And that's it. Whereas the Miami deal, it would have got you 3 first-round picks and Nikola Jovic, and there's no debating that what Portland took from Milwaukee is better than what Miami could have offered. So for that reason alone, I knew Joe Cronin was being petty. And it's weird because the Heat and the Blazers, they didn't even have any prior beef. This was just a case of Joe Cronin wanting to spite the best player in his franchise history because he has a major attitude problem and he's an asshole. And in my opinion, that's bad business. And of course, all this was confirmed again by the Malta report saying that Cronin wanted Jimmy or Bam from the Miami Heat, which is just ridiculous, because then you go from the Milwaukee Bucks and take Drew Holiday. So maybe the Heat have been trying all summer to contact the Blazers and he just didn't want to pick up the phone. Or maybe the Heat didn't even bother trying because he knew Joe Cronin was just going to waste their time and not take it serious. So I said earlier, this is not Pat Riley's fault, and I do believe in that. But was there any chance that maybe the Heat communicated to Dame Lillard somehow saying, you need to make this strong of a stink in order for us to get you? Because if that's the case, it completely backfired. Damian Lillard coming out so strong made Joe Cronin basically say, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, so I'm going to do anything else. It probably would have worked out better for the Heat in hindsight if Damian Lillard had just given them a list. But don't get me wrong, either way, this is an absolute failure for Pat Riley, Andy Ellisberg, and the entire Miami Heat front office. You cannot fold a player who says he wants to be here, the thing that we've all been waiting for since Jimmy Butler. It happened, and it happened to the highest degree, and whether it's their fault or not, it is a complete and abject failure. And people are going to look at Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal for reasons why the front office sucks and Pat Riley needs to retire. But I mean, I look at it like this: just because a star wants to be here doesn't mean you're entitled to getting them. In theory, you have 29 other teams that are vying to get these superstars, and obviously it's not ever all 29, but there's always a handful of teams, and it's hard to get these guys, especially when Miami has terrible assets, which you could blame the front office on because they overpaid guys like James Johnson and Deion Waiters 6, 7, 8 years ago. You had to trade first-round picks to get rid of them, trade first-round picks to get rid of Tyler Johnson, trade second-round picks to get rid of Dwayne Dedmon, and that's the reason why you don't have assets. So if you do want to blame the front office, I would make it more indirectly like that, because I do think that is fair criticism. But Heat fans, let me know what y'all think down below, and the reasonable Portland fans, because I already know there's going to be a ton of Portland fans in the comments saying, oh, just make a better offer. That's all you had to do. Pat Riley was being stubborn. If that's what you're commenting, you clearly didn't listen to this video or do any research or look anything up on Twitter, because that's not what happened at all. But that's all I got to say for this video. I mean, Miami has a few weeks before the actual start of the season to try to improve this roster, which they need to do. I don't think they'll suck. I'm not one of those people. I think they're going to be a very good team, but they're going to need a point guard because Kyle Lowry ain't it. But like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. The grind is not stopping, even though Dame ran from the grind. I'm not running from the grind. Now just play the diss track. I'll see y'all later. This one goes out to Joe Cronin. He is an ugly, bald-headed hoe who don't know shit, won't pick up the phone, so I'll tell you how it's going. First off, get your head out your ass, and if you think you keeping Dame, ha ha ha, I'ma laugh. It was a couple years back, he said he's loyal for life, but you're a liar, he's tired, and in his back is your knife. You think you winning and swindling with the Heat. You got for fetish, you always end in defeat. If you Lord of the Flies, then Pat is Lord of the Fleas. But you still think you Woody with Andy down at your feet. You haven't heard, Andy Ellisberg will not be deferred. You like Ferb, haven't said a word, phone on don't disturb. You absurd, Portland kicks you to the curb. It's deserved for finishing third when the 3-team trade for Dame confirmed. Pat take his nuts, dragging balls on your face. Kamehameha, kids is here to stay. You give us Dame, but we also keeping Jovic. And if Pat wanted to, he also would take yo bitch. Slip back his hair, that's something you cannot do. And then pipe your girl in his Armani suit. The next day she'll beg for Pat back and he will not show up. He went balls deep then left, just like he Tungo Vailoa. Cronin, I'm candid, I'll tell you I can see your future is grim like in Billy and Mandy. If you do Dame dirty like Dirty Dan Sandy, who's sleeping like Pat, now I'll pass it to Andy.
I got a problem with you, here's the matter, dude. I'm kinda mad at you, I'm mad at you because your attitude is getting rather rude. Show gratitude to Dame cause you never made it seems better. His two longest tenure teammates are Harkless and Myers Leonard, who are bums.
Yes, Heat fans know that they both suck. Tell me, Joe Cronin, what is it you want? You said now is winning time, but you want all the picks. I wish you'd make up your mind instead of making me sick. Where the hell you at, Joe? Where you at? Where the hell you at, Joe? Where you at? Where the hell you at, Joe? Where you at?
What you gonna do, Joe?
Where the hell you at, Joe? Where you at? Where the hell you at, Joe? Where the hell you at? Where the hell you at, Joe? Where the hell you at? Where the hell you at, Joe? Where the hell you at? Where you at, Joe? Where the fuck are you at, man?
This song sucks. I mean, this guy gotta get a life, bro. I mean, what is he even doing with it?